in pain today, but I'm here. Yeah, I don't know. Somehow I like missed the reads like back. I don't know what I did. I just like I think I was picking up one of the kids.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So last night was very uncomfortable night for sleeping.
Yes, folks, we'll start our work session for the August 1st, 2024 regular meeting. It's 4:33 p.m. As tradition, we've got a number of departmental reports. I know we have Alicia, the senior planner, and Courtney has an update on a number of projects that are working in community development. Hand it over to Courtney, hand it over to Alicia. Questions about reports, questions about items as well. But we'll kick it off that way. Yeah.
Are we gonna get a better update on the Broad Street striping? So I see.
That's what.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Let Alicia do her job. Courtney has an update as well. And again, we'll go through departmental reports and then items on the agenda. That's fine. So Courtney, we'll give it over to you. Provide CEO updates. Yep.
All right, it'll be great. This is a new angle. Should we? Oh, that's
No,
fine.
that's okay. This is good. Okay. Hi, everyone. How you doing?
Hello.
Did anyone have any questions specifically about the community development report that was submitted? I don't know how to look over there for the.
No, I have any questions about that. I was just really anticipating clarification on Broad Street striping.
Sure. Okay. I'll leave space for Alicia to take the lead on that. I think the only few things I really wanted to highlight was just that tonight there's an appointment for the community engagement coordinator on the agenda. So really looking forward to hiring that position, bringing somebody onto the team. There's still quite a few events left in the season, so lots of ample training and onboarding opportunities. And this person's a really active member of our community. I think going to be a really great addition to the community development team. So I'm looking forward to that coming up for vote tonight. I wanted to highlight that the new playground at Fox Hill opened last Thursday, I believe, and it's been wonderful. It's been just a really wonderful thing to see the community come out. Andrew, you were out there on Friday afternoon and said there was no shortage of maybe 40 to 50 kids on that playground.
There were probably more kids out there than I've seen at Penfield.
Yeah.
Today, I stopped by today and there had to be 10 cars in the parking lot, probably 20 kids coming on.
Yeah, so just really kudos to the teams that have been working on that and planning that, you know, from my predecessor, Matt Miller, to folks in the community development department, to Public Works for their coordination, to the support of the Council of the Parks Renewal Project. That's a really big visible project that's come, you know, to fruition, and the community's really responding to it in a positive way. And if there's anything that I'm hearing in terms of criticism or feedback is we would love to see more accessible things for our kids to play on. We you know, and that really fits in well to kind of what our plans are going to be for Penfield Park. That grant was submitted yesterday, and so we're hopeful that that will be successful and we can continue to push that project forward.
Interrupt you quick. I just want to highlight too and commend you all. That it looks amazing and agree from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. It's being used from my front porch. Awesome. I'm not complaining.
Great.
In the storm, they were all out there underneath and then they played. So awesome. It's bigger, better than usually the sledding. More people are over there. I do want to just reiterate, I know I spoke to both you and Andrew that day of the ADA compliant piece. And being able to go use your wheelchair to get accessible pieces. I know it was brought up on street teams, but also bringing it up formally. I've had a number of individuals reach out. That's the only criticism I've heard by far. And again, going back to my previous statement, not one of my neighbors has complained about the noise. So no one's complaining about the noise. I'm excited for it.
That's great. Yeah. I appreciate that about the ADA compliance piece. And we've been talking with the playground company about even the addition of mats, you know, over top of that surface that's been put down, kind of what that might cost. And that would further increase accessibility to some of the, you know, the swings that are really accessible for different folks with different abilities, and just responding to that kind of feedback. So So thank you. And then the only other thing to really bring up, if there aren't any questions, is just that we are anticipating at the next council meeting for an approval to award the bids for the bathroom construction project at Fox Hill and also at Melissa Penfield Park. So those I believe the bid closes tomorrow. We'll be reviewing and then making those recommendations so that those projects can also get underway this season. The one in Peter Blumet Park is set to start mid-August, around August 19th. We've had the site visits with the construction company. Everybody's, now making orders and getting the site prepped. And so similar to Fox Hill, we will close down the park, while construction is happening, just for safety. There'll be equipment and different things on site, and we'll communicate that out to the public in terms of when those closures are. Okay. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna switch over. You ready? If that's okay with you. And just to update all the counselors, I put together a PowerPoint as a way to condense the information and to present it to in the best way possible. Because it's a little bit complex. I wonder if you do shared screen and run slideshow, then you do it automatically. And if it doesn't, it's not the. This is this. Well, it's just a little different format. What about under the one? Yeah. Is that okay? Can you see them on your screen?
No, it's okay. I don't need to see it.
Will you be able to, can they raise their hand if they have any questions or anything?
No,
Okay,
I don't know, I have to see. that.
well, we can check back in at the very end also.
Oh,
There you go. Well, we can live with this. We'll live with this. Can Julie and Jeff, can you see the slideshow? Give a thumbs up, maybe?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, great. Okay, so I put together this presentation. Thanks, council and mayor for providing time for this. Again, this is an update for the engineered Broad Street study for restriping and providing a design solution between Beekman Street and Oak Street. And then if you can click that, this is a collaborative effort. Before I dive into the design plans that have been provided, I just kind of wanted to go over the impetus of this, what the city goals have been that have moved this forward, and the different elements of public engagement that have occurred ahead of this effort. So we have the Complete Streets Policy, Bike-Friendly Plattsburgh Plan, City of Plattsburgh Comprehensive Plan, which encourages complete streets, decreasing greenhouse gas emissions, embracing multimodalism, increasing safety and pedestrian infrastructures. And then we've got the active community concept plan that was completed last year, which recommended a road diet along Broad Street. And then
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I can't hear any of Alicia's presentation.
Is your speaker on your,
can Julie could hear me.
Julie, could you hear Alicia?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so Jeff, is it something on your computer?
You can't hear that.
A thing that always happens to me on my home computer is I have my headphones plugged in. No, you can't hear me. Okay.
It is recorded, so if
Yeah,
go back and look at it maybe after.
I'm not taking it. Oh, this is the one. Okay.
or just tell him it's being recorded. We likely are gonna be able to fix it on his end, if Julie can hear us,
Okay.
not us.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
so, we can go to the next slide. And thank you.
Oh, sorry. We're talking technical. There we go.
Okay, here's an overview of the existing conditions. Broadway is seen as the major east-west corridor. The dominant land uses are SUNY Plattsburgh, Plattsburgh City Schools. There are businesses and services along it, as well as multifamily housing, which creates a high rate, which creates a high pedestrian corridor. And leaves the street in disalignment with the city goals and objectives. Because of the high rate of accidents and pedestrian interactions. To date, as of June 3rd, there were 179 accidents logged by PD. 3 to 5 close encounters with Plattsburgh City School District schools, elementary school students, and 1 pedestrian that was hit in a crosswalk last year and hospitalized for an extended period of time. The pictures on the left just give you a bird's eye view of what the street looks like now. You would,
Oh, Alicia, can I ask a question? Or do you want me to wait till the end?
as you wish.
Well, I only asked because the information was just there. So the numbers that were just up there about accidents, do you know where on Broad Street those accidents?
I have not pinpointed those. We can probably dive into the information more, and work with PD to identify those specific locations, but in general, it is a high accident prone corridor. There are often, high rates of speeding activity and road rage. So
I know.
it's prime for traffic calming.
So I just wondered if we were talking about the Broad Street or if we're talking about Five. Well, that's what I'm asking. Again, what point do we know where the accidents are being logged? So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have pinpoint locations
Okay.
myself, but it's all throughout this corridor. And this entire corridor has been flagged as being problematic. And there was a pedestrian hit in a crosswalk. There have been elementary school students nearly hit in crosswalks and trying to get to school. So, and I think what I'm trying to show is that it is a corridor with high pedestrian activity, no biking infrastructure. We have wide lanes and it's auto-centric, essentially. Those are just the existing conditions. But we can definitely at a later date hone in on where these accidents may have specifically been occurring. Thank you. And then just coming up to the recent weeks, this project has been targeted for the CFA funding application round for this year. Update was provided to council on June 27th, but we didn't yet have the project design plans or the cost estimate. We were still waiting for the finalization of the designs from the engineer. And then those came in on, I believe, July 11th, just as I was coming back from vacation, but just too close to be able to prepare anything for council. But the CFA had a deadline of the 30th, which we just got the application in on time for that. Just the CFA has been submitted and now we have time to dig deeper into the design and discussion of Broad Street.
So the design is actually going to be decided after we're awarded the grant?
The, the design has been provided to us, and it's a traffic engineer study, which has been largely informed by the past planning documents we have and existing conditions. So I'm about to get into the design details in a second. I was just trying to provide some of the background. So this is a cover sheet. You all should have received this electronically. But honing in on this, on the left-hand side, click one more. The left-hand side of this page, it shows the highway functional classification, naming Broad Street as a principal arterial. The projected traffic count for 2024 is 10,277 ADT, which plays into that classification. The design speed is 35 miles per hour. And there's fairly low truck volume, which is helpful in this case. And then the other element, other than Erdman Anthony, which specializes in traffic engineering, and this plan has not been defined and solidified yet, but there is a condition on this for design responsibility, where as Erdman Anthony as traffic engineering specialist is assuming liability for the designs and safety of the roadway if this were to be implemented. And then just wanting to point out that the 35 miles an hour is 5 miles an hour above the posted speed limit, and that is a typical design specification to capture the 85 percentile speed, which is expected along the roadway. So just in case you have questions about that and the design speed, here it is, and we can continue on.
I had a question going back to the traffic engineer. Could you give me his name and what company he works for?
It's Erdman Anthony.
Okay. That's the company or the name of the
That's the company.
it was at Irving what?
I'm sorry.
What was the name again?
It's on the cover sheet, Erdman
Oh.
Anthony.
Okay.
And it's throughout the plan set. And the engineer's name is included as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You can read it. And keep clicking one more. Yeah. Sorry, okay. So to the left is the existing bird's eye view of this first section of the roadway. So this is the design plan starts at Beekman Street and running east. And in this section of roadway, you'll see that there's 4 lanes of traffic. This is approximately 44 feet in width currently. And the proposal would be to add 2 5-foot bike lanes, one on the north, one on the south. Have 1 through lane running westbound, and then a left turn only moving westbound, and then 1 through lane running eastbound. So it's a slight reduction in the total number of lanes. And I just want to emphasize, this is a proposed restriping plan, so it's not concrete improvements. It's not major infrastructural improvements. It's a fairly short-term implementation because it's line striping. GNP 02, the next sheet runs
Casey, you close the door, please.
section runs past the Newman Center and the start of the SUNY campus. So again, the total width of the roadway is approximately 44 feet, and the proposal would provide, again, 5-foot wide bike lanes on the north side and the south side. You would again have 1 through lane traveling westbound. You'll see a proposed shared center lane for the majority of this stretch moving westbound. until you get approximately in front of the Newman Center. So there could be a left turn only into the SUNY property. Eastbound, you would have a 1-through lane, and then it would move into a shared center turn lane. So anybody trying to access the private parcels to the north could get into those driveways.
Okay, so this is where I was confused when I was looking at the plan on the computer. So on the left is what is existing now, and that is the proposal. So there's going to be a middle. There's basically a middle dedicated lane for left and right turn, right? Is that what we're saying?
For the majority of that
Majority.
section.
So
Yes.
this is from,
Sorry. So from this crosswalk eastward would be the
oh,
shared.
where
center
we're looking
turn
on the
lane.
left, okay.
From the crosswalk westward is where that left turn only would be into the SUNY parking lot.
Okay, so then this design here ends at the Y,
No, it continues through.
continues through.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. The full design ends just after Oak Street.
okay.
This page is an approach to the Ruger intersection. And here you'll see the Ruger intersection, the approach. And the other attempt for these overall designs is to maintain the traffic configuration, so we don't have to make expensive changes at the lighted controlled intersections. We can keep the same controls in place. So again, you'll have 5-foot wide bike lanes on either side as you approach the intersection, the shared turn lane, 1-through lane running westbound, 1-through lane running eastbound. And then as you get across the intersection, you'll see a center hatch area. This is to create a buffer between the left only turn lane and the through lane that continues east. As you move through eastbound, this hatch area opens up into a left only lane so people can get onto William Street. Also in this section of the street, there isn't enough width to be able to have 2 5-foot wide bike lanes. So the bike lane here gets moved onto the street, and a use of a share and shared roadway between bikes and cars will occur for that short distance. Next slide.
Oh, I have a question. I'm sorry. Just, this just struck me. Can you go to the previous slide?
That would be a that question.
Oh, okay, so right now, if you're going to take a turn up Ruger Street, you've got 2 lights with arrows that will stop you. And you have 2 lights with the green arrows that allow you to continue. Is anything going to change there with the lights?
No,
So just stay the same as it is?
yes.
One of the questions.
Okay, just to reiterate that none of the intersection traffic controls are changing.
Okay.
None of them. But throughout the entire project, and again, Alicia alluded to this, we did that to continue traffic movement as well as to maintain the cost of the project. It's considered a quasi temporary change because it is just striping. There's no hard surface, there's no concrete that's being changed. The traffic signals for all of the intersections remain unchanged.
Thank you. Are we good with the?
Mhm, yes, thank you.
Good, yeah. Okay, so the roadway width here, I believe, goes back up to 54 feet. Don't quote me on that. I don't have it memorized. But you will see moving eastbound, the 5-foot wide proposed bike lane here. And the roadway width is slightly increased here. So we've added a hatched area against the curb to take up some of that extra width. And then right here, you have the left westbound turn only lane and eastbound through lane, which continues and then turns into a shared central turn lane here. So that this configuration continues until we hit, I believe it's William Street, or do you go to the next slide? Sorry. We're going, and this is as you go by McDonough Hall. So Helen Street, it continues until you get to Helen Street. You've still got the central shared turn lane here, so you can get into the SUNY facilities or turn left onto Helen Street. We've got on-street parking that is remaining here. Again, 5-foot wide bike lanes on either side, north and south of the roadway. And then as you continue to move east, the westbound lane is 1 through lane and 1 left turn only lane. The eastbound lane is 1 through lane, which widens the width widens even further. And then we can move into a right turn only onto Stelzer.
South Catherine.
South Catherine, thank you. And then you have a centered hatched area here to separate the different directions of vehicles for vehicle safety and protection. And then it opens up into a left turn.
It's a straight lane through the Catherine Street intersection.
Could you go to the next slide? It will be more evident. Thank you. Yes, and as the mayor said, it will be a straight lane through. It will turn into 2 straight lane through lanes moving westbound, eastbound. The westbound lane will be left turn only onto South Catherine and 1 through lane, still maintaining 5-foot wide bike lanes on either side. As you move further east to absorb some of the roadway width, there will be a center hatched area. Could you go to the next slide? Which helps slim the traffic and lane flow moving west, but allows for the 2 through lanes moving east. And turns one of those through lanes into left only onto Oak and continues as you pass by Stafford Middle School and resumes the existing traffic, the lane configuration of having 2 through lanes going past Stafford to keep the flows moving and not have any backups. Essentially, that is the full design plan. Any questions on these slides so far? Mayor, do you have anything additional to add?
I
Yeah,
want to say one thing. Is there any way Beth can go back to the very first you could see the pictures of the street. It was in the very, very
The
beginning.
existing conditions, so that.
Yes, the very beginning slide, it was like really, it showed everything.
Mhm.
Couple more, I think, maybe one more.
There.
Right there. All right. And I know you can't see me pointing at my screen, and I get that, but I come down that street every day, whether I'm working, shopping, whatever it is. And when I'm in that left lane, like going east, if I'm in that left lane to turn on to South Catherine, and if I'm doing the speed limit and somebody is really impatient, they're going to do 50 and 60 miles an hour to get around me. If they get to that light where the Y is, they will get up on the left or the left side of you. And if I'm on the right, sorry, I'm trying to get my bearings here. And if I'm on the right, they will come up on the left and they will, I don't know, it's the need to get 1 or 2 cars ahead of you to scoot over to be able to turn onto South Catherine. And the thing is you've got these crosswalks with these lights flashing.
Mhm.
People ignore those flashing lights. There will be people in these crosswalks and they don't care. They will go 50 miles an hour to get around you, to get from the left to the right, to scoot, to go up to South Catherine. So I think going down to one lane, I'm sorry, but I think that is the best thing for those roads, because it's going to cut down on all of that road rage that these people feel that they need to have when you're doing the speed limit. Just my input, just my opinion.
Thank you, Julie.
So I know one of the primary questions and concerns was loss of parking.
Mhm.
So now that you've taken us through the diagram, there really isn't going to be a substantial loss of parking. So, right, am I correct?
There's not,
So there will be a few, if I'm, I want to make sure I understand it
Yeah.
correctly. So we're really just talking about spots in front of the church? Directly in front of the church?
No.
No, there, no.
So,
it's
so
between
may I,
that.
so
Sure.
there's two primary sections. One is the westbound past William.
Mhm.
Westbound past William, there's a number of parking spots there to provide more room for bike lane. We are taking those 3 or 4 spots out of there. We spoke with Yeti, or President Yeti. It's so casual. We spoke to President and Yeti about those concerns, and those concerns were also leveraged or addressed in his letter of support. The other piece, which is probably a little bit more sensitive, are the parking spots. If you want to go back to the middle school section, there's a number of parking spots in front of there's hair salon,
Mhm.
Wilson's, and along that road that will be lost.
How
for-
many
for
spots?
pavement.
Right about
How many spots are we talking there? Like 4?
GNFO 6.
I've got a map in front of me as well, and I can do a quick count. I think it's like, I want to say 6 or 8. I
Our
recall.
count was 8,
8, okay.
when we were reviewing the
Yep.
plans.
Okay, so 8 spots there, but across the street, on the same side of the street where the funeral home is located,
Those
Wait.
will be, those parking spaces will remain.
and there are also some parking spots. I was just driving down there today. I'm like Julie, I'm up and down that street all the time because I live on River Street. The curb comes in and there's parking, and it's like a small strip right in front of the old Dukin building. It's like right around in there. I'm assuming that's gonna stay because
That's-
it's actually curved in.
Yeah, that's
right there.
protected in, and that's.
Yeah.
That's not
changed.
affected.
The only parking spots that we are recommending based on this design of removing are those 8 parking spots on the north side of Broad Street,
Mhm.
between Oak and Catherine. Yeah, and then the 3 or 4 parking spots west of William. Yeah.
Okay.
And and again, Alicia said this before, I just had a phone call today with some folks at Wilson's expressing concern, but we did walk door to door, talk with people, talk to business owners, talk with patrons about their current use of that parking spot. And those parking spots, we felt based on those initial conversations, it was fair to design it in a way that removed those to allow for those bike lanes.
And I mean, it's all sounds like major changes, but really the intent was not to drastically change this corridor, but to slim it down. And as we can without significant enormous changes.
One thing that I wish we had is a left turn only arrow at the intersection of Broad and Margaret. I
And
wish,
we made
Wait, left turn at Broad and Margaret?
Broad and Margaret.
We do have one. There's a dedicated left-hand turn arrow at Broad and Margaret.
The turn on.
The turn on from Margaret.
That was included in the new lighting that came on. You now have a left-hand.
Oh, we
turn
do
arrow.
have that.
A
Yeah,
dedicated
you now
left-hand
have a
turn
turn
arrow. Yep.
I was gonna say, yeah, we do.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And so it shall be.
It's just a little fairy dust. So the section between Oak and Margaret was not fully incorporated into this design and can be looked at a future date. Because there's a lot more going on there with the school district.
And I know that there were some concerns about possibly creating bottleneck traffic in front of the middle school, so it doesn't sound like that's going to be an issue.
No, and we've had extensive conversations with Mr. LeBron. And he's very comfortable with this design, but again, we're not changing the lanes in front of there, we're allowing them to remain the same.
Or the lanes feeding those, specifically feeding those 2 lanes that are primarily used to feed into the middle school. The original design had it down to 2 lanes, east and west. Just like most people here, I drive that almost every day as well, and had significant concern about the number of backup that we already see during the school hours, school drop-off hours, and not wanting to exacerbate that.
Just circling back to the parking situation in front of Wilson's. I know you asked people if they use that parking, the people that live there, I guess, or the business, but I know from my property, like I have a parking lot in the back, and I don't need the parking on the street. However, every night the parking in front of my house is taken up. I mean, people utilize that parking down there that aren't necessarily residents, that for whatever reason are in that area that need to park. They have a close by apartments, the best spot for them. Plus the business, there's a couple of businesses there actually that I know of. It's probably pretty important to them. I'm just want to point that out, that one person's good idea is another person's losing a parking place. Just
Well,
commenting.
We appreciate the comments back on that. And just to reiterate, we reached out to multiple stakeholders, major stakeholders, went door to door to the businesses to see what their parking demands were, and then also visually inventoried all of the parcels along this corridor to find that they all have significant off-street parking. And really, there is a low demand for parking, especially along the north side, but overall, we tried to minimize the amount of parking we did take away. So the approach was to seek as best of a balance as possible.
Well, I just want to offer a comment about that. Dave Manette and I were talking on the phone about this last week. I look at it this way. If I'm going to go to Target because I need to purchase something there, and if I can't find a parking spot directly in front of Target, I'm not going to leave the parking lot because I can't park directly in front of the business. If there's some place inside the mall that I want to visit and I need to park in the outside parking and walk the length of the mall to get there, then that's what I do. I hope that the business owners do not feel as though we are creating an inconvenience for them, but every time that we have been concerned about how parking is going to shift in parking is going to affect businesses, we've heard so many concerns, and rightfully so, because we're shifting the way that they run their businesses. But there is on-street parking on Oak Street, there is parking on the west end of Arnie Pavone, there's parking on Couch Street. People will park and walk. They will. Because, I mean, why wouldn't you? If you want to do business there, you're going to park and walk, and we're not talking a huge distance.
Right.
It isn't as though you're parking all the way in, the other end of Court Street and then walking into,
Right.
I just don't see it as anything alarming. It'll be a shift, it will be a change. But I think that if we can create safer, better traffic flow, I agree with Julie, the racing up and down that section, the backup of traffic and so on. I think it's just a shift, and I think people will adjust to it.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I mean, I've had enough of it. So, yeah.
And I know we've talked a lot about vehicle traffic, and we've seen it. I just saw it the other day. driving from Broad Street through the River Street intersection, just having a car just whip past me at probably like 45 miles an hour. It was pretty like, wow, it's like, that's not really.
Exactly.
But also, you know, I think one of the things that we lose when we talk about infrastructure, biking infrastructure, multimodal infrastructure, is that the population of people that we serve as a community, Alice households, low to moderate income households, folks who cannot afford a vehicle, a car, folks who cannot afford 2 cars like some of us can, they rely on bicycling. They rely on bicycles. They rely on motorized bicycles, electric bicycles. And we've heard so many complaints about getting people off of the sidewalk into the street. Well, it's very challenging for somebody to feel safe driving on the street or riding their bicycle on the street when there's not the appropriate infrastructure for it. And a lot of people do rely, because of their socioeconomic status, they do rely on alternate forms of transportation. I know it's a conversation often lost in the mix when we talk about equal access, socioeconomic equality and access to transportation, but that's also a real key function to our community and the health, safety, and vitality of our community.
And once again, it's those people in the crosswalk. I guess excuse me, I focus on that a little bit, maybe because my son and my 2 grandchildren had a close call crossing in one of those crosswalks. And he said those lights were flashing and everything. And when you've got somebody trying to speed around somebody else and they didn't even watch for them. And so that hit close to home, you know, that it resonates definitely with me. So, yeah.
The communication that we had business owners coming to City Hall. I just had a call today with another business owner about this change. It has not been adversarial. If anything, they understand the need for it. They appreciate the work that we're doing to beautify our streets and to really create some safety around transportation. It really was just expressing concern. When folks open a business and there's a parking demand, that's what the zoning board is for. They confirm the amount of the parking minimums that we talk about. They confirm the amount of parking spots per the business and per the business demands, and that's what's built into their parking calculation. Street parking, on-street parking, surface parking is not part of that calculation for them to be able to successfully provide and operate their business. Not to say that, again, it's a convenience for people, but as Councilor Gibbs said, you know, if that means somebody's got to park across the street and use a crosswalk across the street, please do that to patronage your business.
And we got to get bikes off the sidewalks.
100%.
A lot of people think that's safer, and it's not. It's absolutely not.
Thanks. I think this was the last slide. So. Any additional thoughts, questions? Thank you all. If you have any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out.
That was very helpful. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you taking the time.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, no, I'm good. No, she probably will.
You have questions for Andrew?
I do. Please, because when people, I hear this feedback all the time, people who are watching the live stream, when employees don't come to the microphone, they cannot hear what's being said. So I mean, if you're going to take advantage of the live stream option, it really only makes sense if I have the microphone, because we're all mic. So I read through the Public Works report, and it says that Margaret Street is closed out now.
Closeout, so it's in the closeout phase.
It's in closeout phase,
So
okay.
basically, we've done the final walkthrough with the contractor, identified any items that we thought needed to be fixed or rehabbed, which is why you had seen in a couple spots where they had tore up some concrete work up the corner of Upper Bridge Street. We had a very significant crack that, in my opinion, wasn't gonna make it through the winter time. It would have broken apart, so I made them cut it out, re-pour the concrete. So items like that, so all of those closeout items are completed. They actually finish, they've got one more thing. We had some of the globes and the lights were leaking and they were holding water. The manufacturer found that there was a leak in a gasket, so the manufacturer is sending us new globes. So Stilsing, who is the subcontractor for Reifenberg, will come and replace those globes once they get them from the manufacturer. And that's the last thing that we have to do on the project. And the project will be all done.
How long is, I don't know how to ask the question, is there any kind of like warranty on the design or the construction?
Sure, yeah, so the construction is 1 year, so that's part of the closeout documents. Is we get with the contractor and say, okay, you have significantly completed. 90 to 95% of the work. I think our completion date was June 18th. So from June 18th, they have a 1-year warranty period.
So until the 2025?
Yes, correct, yep.
I had some questions about, and thinking back to the conversations that we had. The last council meeting when Public Works was here, so I guess about a month ago, when we were talking about the significant rain event and the
Yep.
flooding, and we had these conversations on the floor. And I had some follow-up questions,
Sure.
and I don't know if you can answer them
I'll
right now.
Give it my best.
But if you can't, if you could provide answers to council by email,
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
When the project was being designed, and I'm assuming the engineer would do this function, was there flow rate and precipitation calculations performed to determine what is the normal flow rate of rainwater and what's being caught? Was that done?
Yeah, so-
I'm assuming it was done, and I just wondered if you could.
So yeah,
comment
so
on that.
I'm certain it was done. I can tell you from being on the other side of it and actually doing design, how that works. So basically what you do is you have a base map that's created. You have a surveyor go out, they survey everything, topographic, so you get elevations of everything. You put it in a program and you calculate the surface runoff
Mhm.
of that area, which is very similar. I kind of did it, the numbers that I gave you guys last week based on rainfall event.
Mhm.
That was stuff that I did by hand, just a general calculation. They actually have computer programs that do this. So they insert it into the computer program and the computer program calculates all that. And then based off of those calculations, that's how they design the storm system.
Okay, so I'm assuming that was done with this project.
I would assume as well.
Okay, so, when they create these calculations, do they base them on, what would be a standard 25-year event or a 50-year event or a 100
Yeah.
event or a 500-year event? Do you know what their calculation was based on?
So I don't know 100%, but right now, generally you design for a 100-year storm event.
So if you could provide that definitive answer for us, I would really
Yeah, I
appreciate
can
it.
call the engineer and ask him.
Okay, because I assumed it was something that was done. When we revisit the way that the water pooled in certain places on the road and what we had talked about last time. The grade sizes for the street. There was a center trunk line before the construction project, wasn't there?
A portion of it had a center trunk line, but a majority of it actually went into the sanitary sewer.
Okay,
So it was a combined, what we call a combined system.
so it was combined system, which and then it was separated.
Yes, yep.
Do you think that, and I don't know if you can answer this, grade sizes a factor at all in how the surface rainwater is captured, flowed, controlled,
Yep.
pulled up?
Yeah, so
is-
that's absolutely something that's looked at. So basically, when we look at what kind of, we call them storm grades. When we determine what storm grade is gonna be used, the casting company, which in this case we use EJ Castings as our standard, they actually provide hydraulic calculations to the engineer. So the engineer knows how much rainwater can go through those grades. So all of that is taken into consideration when a company like CNS does their design. So I provided CNS our standard catch basin that we use with the storm grade. And then they go to EJ and say, okay, give me the capacity, the hydraulic capacity of these grades. And that's why you see a significant amount. If you go down, you'll actually see, instead of just one catch basin here, one catch basin here, you'll see 3 catch basins here and 3 catch basins here. That is more than likely because they needed the increase the capacity of available
Runoff.
runoff into those grades.
Okay, and I know that because I remember hanging on to those designs.
Yeah.
Is any grading or elevation, so where the pipes are laid down, they are meeting the what you call it, where the catch basins are located. Is all of that determined before everything else is laid over the top of it? To make sure that it's graded and elevated appropriately so that it flows properly?
So during construction,
Yes.
so yeah, so basically what happens is you have a 3D model. So CNS in this case created an entire 3D model of the project. And all of those storm lines were designed underground based upon that. They're all given elevations. And then Reifenberg has a GPS unit and they would go down through, and all of those storm lines were set based at those elevations based on the design drawings. So you have your 3D model in the computer, that 3D model can actually get uploaded into the GPS unit. And then the GPS unit, you basically walk up and the GPS unit says, okay, this is where you need to put your pipe. This is where your catch basin goes. Everything is built right into the 3D model. And then it goes beyond that. That 3D model actually can get uploaded into your dozers and your excavators. And when you're moving your material, that dozer blade will automatically move based upon your 3D model. So the operator is really just pushing the gas pedal forward and backward. He doesn't even have to move the blade.
Okay.
So everything is based off of a 3D model.
Was an as-built survey done?
So we are actually doing an as-built survey in-house.
You are.
Yeah, so that's what we do anytime we do a construction project. We did it for Cogan Avenue. My guys go out. We have basically the same capabilities. We can do 3D modeling. We have a GPS unit and robotic instrument. So the guys go out, they survey everything, and then we upload it for our own records. So we have knowledge of where everything is for future use. 200 years from now, if the pipes are still in the ground, the people working on them, where they are.
Okay.
So yeah, we do our own as-bills. And that's a cost savings thing. It's a lot cheaper for us to do it ourselves versus to have the construction company hire a surveyor and go out and do it. You're paying prevailing wage, which is almost $250 an hour with a survey company to do something that we can do in-house for less than $100 an hour.
So when your as-built survey is done, what do you do with the results?
So
You're examining any inconsistencies, irregularities, errors?
we don't typically get into that technical. I could overlay it as part of our contract when I do stuff with a design engineer. I put it in the contract that they have to turn over all of their 3D modeling to us, so we have it. So I could essentially do something like that. But during construction, in this case, it was the design engineer, because we hired them as the construction inspection team. They actually have their own GPS unit. And as Reifenberg is constructing everything, the construction inspection team is going behind them with their own GPS unit to verify that they are building everything properly. So essentially, they're doing an as-built to make sure that Reifenberg is building per the design plans. But we didn't actually have anything on paper. What we do is we put it on paper, so we just have a record of it. And actually, everything gets uploaded to the phones. So any of our guys have our app. They can go onto the AutoCAD app and they can open it up. And if they're trying to find a water shutoff, all the water shutoffs are right there on the map. So in the wintertime, if there's 3 feet of snow on the ground and they can't find a shutoff in an emergency, they open up the app and it's all GPS on your phone. So you can literally walk right up to a valve that's buried in snow.
So when will you finish your as-built survey?
For this project, to be honest with you, the guys probably won't get to shooting this in until the springtime. We can't survey it in the wintertime because with snow, you tend to miss under utilities and stuff like that. So they'll probably go out in the spring, shoot it in, probably have it done sometime next year.
What's the size of the pipe that connects at the Broad Street intersection to Pine? So all that's new infrastructure, and I forget, what's the size of the pipe there? I know you told us last time.
So you're talking about the
The
new
new
pipe?
pipes that were laid, up until we get to that
I
intersection.
believe it was a 24-inch line, trunk line. So basically from, I think it's Brinkerhoff down to Broad Street, it's a 24-inch line, but it's in a trench, infiltration trench. So what they do is they dig down, they put crushed stone in the ground, and then they lay the pipe in the crushed stone. And what happens is the water comes through the pipe, but it's also allowed to percolate into the soil. So you have not only the capacity of the pipe to carry the water down, but you also have the capacity for the water to go out into the soil as well, which is something that I didn't take into calculation when I did my my calculations that I gave to you last time. I just said straight pipe for volume. I didn't take into consideration the infiltration trench.
So what's the size of the pipe that it fits into? Is it 20, is it also?
That
24?
I know I believe it's much larger than 24.
It's larger than 20.
Yes, I believe so. I'd have to check though. I don't have that off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
could
Yep.
you check and let us know?
So I have to check on 100 years, what is that? For the design. And size of pipe. Distance pipe.
Andrew, quick question. How did Margaret Street do the last couple of days with the storms we've had?
So it actually held up very well. So yesterday, so I looked at last night's rain event. We received about an inch of rain in about 15 minutes, which is almost exactly half of what we got during the big rainstorm. And we had no issues at all. There are several other places in the city where we did have issues, down on Cumberland Ave by our pump station, down.
South Catherine.
South Catherine had some issues. So there were several other issues in the city. We did not have
Pine
any
Street
issues.
also saw.
Yeah, Pine
Pine
Street
Street
as
also
well.
saw some flooding.
Yeah, we didn't have any issues on Market Street though.
Yeah, I knew South Catherine did. My husband had to drive through it and he said it was like throwing off a wave. He said it was so bad. So
And
yeah.
that's actually more typical of what a 100-year storm looks like. And that's really what you design for, is something like that.
I think that's all I have for now.
Okay.
I'll do some more digging. You know how much I love the research.
Yeah, this shouldn't be too hard to find.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
It's about 5:30 as well, so. I'll take a motion to adjourn this work session. Motion by Counselor Gibbs, second by Counselor Avery, all in favor?
Aye.
Now adjourned. I don't think we're gonna cycle the live stream, are we? Do we don't cycle live stream? No, just continuing, okay. At this time, I'd like to call the August 1st, 2024 regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Plattsburgh to order. It's 5:30 PM. Stand rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Garland, will you please conduct a roll call?
Mayor Rosenquist. Counselor Bond.
Here.
Counselor Avery.
Here.
Counselor Gibbs.
Here.
Counselor Talon. Here. Counselor Manette. Counselor Moore.
Here,
Let the record show that Councilor Manette has been excused. All councilors have received a copy of the minutes of the July 18th, 2024 regular meeting. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I'll now entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Councilor Avery, second by Councilor Gibbs. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
aye.
Thank you. Sorry. I'll now recognize those in the audience who wish to share their thoughts and concerns with the council on any topic. Please come to the podium to be acknowledged. When called upon, we ask that you please state your legal name and address for the record. In accordance with the organizational rules of order, all speakers will be given 5 minutes to address the council.
So my name is Paula Cormier. I live in Plattsburgh and I am a member of the ARC. I also have a daughter in the Special Olympics bocce ball team. And I also am a board member of the Autism Alliance of Northeastern New York. So I'm wearing many hats today. And I have come to clear up some misconceptions about the bocce ball fields and what we need to do to move forward. So I believe there has been some miscommunication and I can understand where it happened. I was working with Troopers House in Ewing, and after they presented, I realized that at the end of June that a contingent from the mayor's office went to South Acres Park to view the site that the Special Olympics were interested in. And Subsequently, there were some lines drawn in with paint as to what the different configurations might look like. And that was something that was a starting point, and it was good to have that done because we could see that it would work on the particular piece of South Acres Park near the pickleball fields. So that was a great start, and our understanding was that to begin with, people might be able to roll some balls and practice some targets, but ultimately, as in the original proposal on June 6th, we need to have some wooden framing. Otherwise, we can't have the practices, and the season starts on August 17th. So what happened, I think, is that it was misunderstood that for just the painted lines were enough for us to move forward, but it's not. And the season starts August 17th. So then there was the idea of funding. I approached Billy Jones' office, and I was told by his chief of staff that he has procured capital funds for the project. So I'm thinking that's a help. If anything else is needed to move forward, you know, I've had other people here who will probably speak from the ARC perspective as far as what we can do to help facilitate this. We can't actually do any official bocce ball without having some kind of framing. And that was mentioned originally. So we're all trying to figure out how we can get this to move forward efficiently and cooperatively so that we can at least get to a spot where we can actually bring the Special Olympics athletes there. I understand Parks Come Alive is next week there. So it would be an excellent opportunity for anyone who wants to scope it out and see exactly what needs to be done. It would be a perfect opportunity. And I'm hoping the lines are still there. I believe that I was informed they were. So, so I just want to know if there's anything else that any of the supporters can do to move it forward. If it, any quicker, please let us know, whether it's a matter of funding or whatever. I mean, we can, in addition to Billy Jones funding, we can do fundraisers or whatever. And I do believe that it would be such an asset. And I think that it would not just be Special Olympics athletes who would be able to use this facility, but it's also would be a wonderful thing for the seniors. I did get a lot of support from Maria Alexander as far as she would love to see the seniors at Lakeview Towers be able to access bocce ball courts, which they're right across the street. And also from housing, public housing people who don't have a lot of money for equipment. I do believe that someone at the TED Center had offered to perhaps keep bocce ball kits there that could be taken out and brought back so that everyone could access it. And honestly, it's the third most popular sport in the world. And I think you would find a lot of community people coming there with their families and enjoying these as well. So just looking to see how we can move this forward.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to address the council on any topic?
Hi, I'm Kat Furman. I'm the recreation specialist for the Clayton County ARC. Brand new to this endeavor, but one thing I do want to point out to the council is just a different point of view. I started this journey about 7 months ago, and I never really thought about accessibility in my community. I have ruled this uptown of Plattsburgh my whole life for 24 years, being able to do anything I want whenever I want. That includes going to the beach, getting ice cream, watching any local movie with my friends. In the past 7 months, I have seen how inaccessible our community is. And I really would like to point out some examples. Going to the movies, I brought about 20 individuals to this recent $5 movie on Wednesday, and there was 4 spots for wheelchairs. We, of course, made it work, and they all had a grand time, but that was probably a fire threat or fire safety or just not safe if you think about it, having 18 people not in an accessible spot to watch a Wednesday movie. Going fishing, isn't that a fun endeavor to do? Where can you go that has access to a bathroom or just an easy ramp down to the water for people? Plenty of people to go in a group, not just a few inches of land for a handicap accessible person or two. In our community, yes, we have handicapped people. We have awesome families that support them, and oftentimes when their friends are hanging out and you have to make an exception, it's for one or two. Us coming to ask for bocce is giving us some community access, a place that we can go play sports. Can we go play soccer? That's probably kind of hard. We have softball, we have a bunch of other sports, and I am personally trying to make a soccer team up here. But what we're asking right now is just a safe place that we can go play sport that everyone else doesn't have to think about going to do every day, you know? Having fun. This would just be something that they don't have to think about. Unlike fishing, where can they go to the bathroom? Movies, will they have a safe spot to go? Anywhere, you know? All I'm asking is if we can really consider this bocce field, because it would give access to my community that I have not been thinking of. A community that we've been neglecting, and also a bunch of other people, because guess what? Not only disabled people can play bocce, anyone can play bocce. So thank you, council, for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address the council on any topic?
Hello,
Hello.
Ray Martin from Jim Goddess Emporium at 72 Margaret Street in Plattsburgh. So you made some really great points and I love that. So it's a seemingly simple addition that will have a profound impact on the lives of many in our community. I actually wanted to share a personal story. Sarah, our local resident, is a gold medal winner in the Special Olympics for bocce ball. The pride that she felt in winning a gold medal was priceless. It also helped her to become more I lost this. All right. People like her don't get opportunities that often. And like she said over here, that it's easy for us to get around, easy for us to do things. But what about the people that are challenged in a mobile way? People with autism, seniors, everyone can benefit from this bocce ball field at South Acres Park. So please invest in the happiness of our community members. And Billy Jones has generously pledged funding for the project. And I urge you to allocate the necessary funds and authorize the construction of the bocce ball field as soon as possible. This investment will yield immediate and long-lasting benefits for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address the council on any topic? Seeing none, we have no special correspondence or recommendations from special committees. I'll report that the payrolls of the various city departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending July 24, 2024, the amount of $696,791.89. As well as the bills audited for the weeks ending July 26, 2024, in the amount of $2,360,523.10. And August 2nd, 2024, in the amount of $1,904,483.81. The following reports were submitted for council's review. I'll now move on to liaison reports. No report from the Plattsburgh Public Library due to Councilor Manette's absence. Climate Smart Task Force, Councilors Talon and or Avery.
I'll just comment that I've asked the mayor's office, and thank you, Alicia, for voicing out for an update on where the departments are at for the business plan, the climate task force operations. So thank you for doing that and look forward to the update. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll say, come say hi to the Climate Smart Task Force at the next Parks Come Alive event.
Thank you. Seeing no other liaison reports, Ms. Carlin, will you please read the titles of the resolutions to be acted upon?
Item 7.164, authorized Grace Avenue closure for neighborhood block party.
Motion by Counselor Gibbs, second. Counselor Talon, discussion.
I'm seeing that they're asking to have the road closed down until 11 PM at night, and I think there was a concern with some of the neighbors last year that it went that long. So I didn't know if maybe it might be possible to negotiate maybe 9 o'clock.
I don't think go ahead.
To our office,
I don't remember,
and they've asked for 11 PM,
yeah.
and I just let her know that, I said that to you guys, and put it in your folder about. You wanna change the time, but that's what they're asking.
So do you want to make a motion to amend the time or amend the resolution? I suppose.
Cut it in the middle, make it 10 o'clock.
Just I remember
Just my opinion.
contacted by one of my constituents, like, okay, let's go too late.
They're yours.
And we need to be able to get into our parking spaces. So, I mean, I would like to make a motion to amend it to 9 o'clock.
Motion on the floor to amend the resolution to end the block party at 9 o'clock.
I'll second that.
Second motion by Counselor Gibbs. All in favor to the amendment of the motion of the item?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Call the question, the amended item. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Carried.
Item 7.165, authorized Calvin Lane closure for neighborhood block party.
Motion by Counselor Avery, second by Counselor Gibbs. Discussion?
This timing looks better, 8 o'clock.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Carries.
Item 7.166, authorized contract with CDM Smith, grant administration services for the water resource recovery facility and the water filtration plant.
Motion by Counselor Gibbs, second by Counselor Talon. Discussion?
We didn't get a chance to talk about this, so yes, we could have some explanation and discussion. Hi.
Yes, so we have 3 specific grants that will be requiring administration. I've reached out to CDM Smith to help assist with these grants and the administration of paperwork, the funding, the disbursement requests. A lot of the heavy lift that goes with satisfying the needs of the grants as they progress.
Okay, that's all the questions I had.
Yeah, any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Avery,
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs,
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
Yes.
Okay.
Item 7.167, travel request, city clerk.
Motion by Counselor Avery, second by Counselor Gibbs. Discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Avery.
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs,
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
Yes.
Carried.
Item 7.168, authorized renewal license agreement with LeCook Builders LLC, 3 Museum Way.
Motion by Counselor Gibbs, second. Counselor Avery, discussion?
Yes, I need an explanation of the resolution and the way that, is this what I'm thinking of?
I was gonna say, what is this?
It's just a renewal of garage space that we rent on that property. The renewal is a couple.
Oh, no, it's the next one that I had the questions on. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I understood.
7168. Any questions? 7168.
This is the renewal on what? Just the lease?
Yeah, sorry, Counselor Bond, this is a renewal of essentially a lease of some garage space that we have over there. The folks have been renting it for a long term. They want to renew that lease. This is that renewal.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Avery.
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
Yes.
Carries.
Item 7.169 budget adjustment, general fund, police department, LaTex grant.
Motion by Counselor Gibbs, second. Counselor Avery, discussion.
This is the one
Yes, please.
I just need an explanation about the way the funding was being handled.
I believe council was provided a breakdown of the funding, the last meeting that accepted the grant. No difference from what was already, provided, from the last time.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Avery.
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.170 mayoral appointment, community engagement coordinator.
Motion by Counselor Talon, second by Counselor Avery. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Avery.
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes.
Carried. New business.
Oh, Jeff, you and I spoke earlier. Did you want to bring up the new business about the Greyhound, or did you want me to bring it up first?
Well, I'd like to start out on this. This is an unacceptable situation. It's a humanitarian crisis in the making. I look at those people out there today. They have no real access to water, medical help, anything. Winter's coming. It's only going to get much worse. I would really like to see us try to get some kind of a public ordinance that would prevent the Greyhound, from dropping people off in that location. The the county building, sorry about my voice, but the county building is not open on weekends. It's not open at night. These people don't know where to go. There's not easy access to even a water. And this winter, it's going to get dire. Anybody who gets stuck out there, I know I'm an old ice fisherman, and you don't last long out there without the proper gear. These people will not have the proper gear. We need to find a way to force them to locate in a more humane location if they're going to be in the city. We need to correct this situation right away. I do not want any blood on my hands. There's going to be something bad that'll happen because of these people being left out in the street. They need to have access to at least the bare necessities.
Dean, this is a legal question for you. Is there a traffic zone designation or a local law or something that the city could pass that prohibits them from prohibits Greyhound from using that particular location? I don't know if there's any legal standing for us.
I haven't taken a deep dive into it. I know we don't have anything on the books currently to prohibit that. Now with the analysis that was done a few weeks ago when this first came up. So as we sit here today, I'm not taking deep dive to give that question an answer in a second.
Okay, so I have some legal questions then. Greyhound was located at other places in the county. It's my understanding that there was Greyhound paid to, whatever the business was, the Mountain Mart and other places, paid them to be able to operate out of there. They were basically kicked out, is the way I understood it, the way I understood the circumstances. I know that the last meeting we had, I asked the mayor about the $1,000 that Greyhound had offered to pay the city to operate inside the city. Mayor, you said that
To
was
operate
kind
at
of.
to operate at that specific location.
Okay, so Dean, my legal question is, if we're talking about money changing hands so that there can be some kind of arrangement, doesn't that give us some kind of legal standing with Greyhound to say, no, you can't operate here because there's money being offered for a service? So I guess I'm asking legally what our rights are. If Greyhound is saying, well, I want to pay the city $1,000 to operate at that location. And we as a council, I think, are united in this concern that it is going to become an it is an untenable situation right now. There's a heat index warning in effect from now until 8 o'clock tomorrow night because it's too hot to be outside.
What about the folks that are taking the public transit now? Like, why are we not like up in arms and concerned about those folks?
Because I think the difference here is, The great-
So just, sorry, I'm gonna interrupt for a moment because those folks are sitting outside, they're waiting for the bus, they're waiting at the transfer station, they're having to walk between
It's true.
their locations, but nobody's, and by the way, when Greyhound was just right outside of the city, nobody said nothing about that. Nobody was like humanitarian crisis at our doorstep. Nobody was saying nothing about that, but now all of a sudden, now that we're watching it happen, now we want to provide a solution. I'm just curious why all of a sudden now it's an emergency.
Well, I will say that the people who use the county transit, they have a place to go. And one of the big things they tell you about when people are overheating is you need a place to be able to go. These people are going back home. They have a place to go. These other people do not. They're out there in the street. And I will tell you, it's a safety concern. I've been stopped on the street when those buses are there. They're out in the road, and it's a traffic hazard. It's another reason
I
why
don't
they
know.
should.
I've seen part of the Greyhound bus in the road. I've also seen part of the CCPT bus in the road. Actually, somebody complained to me and said, "Hey, look at this Greyhound bus." And I took a picture of this Greyhound bus in the road, and right behind it was a CCPT bus sticking out in the road just as bad.
I don't understand why you have to come at us with such anger about it.
I'm not angry about it. I'm just wondering why all of a sudden it's a problem.
Because we're being called,
Mhm.
as well, I know I've received some phone calls. Councilor Bond has already indicated she's received phone calls. This is not the same situation. That section for the CCPT, the county has that arrangement with those buses. As Jeff said, these are people who live in our area. This is a transfer station. The Greyhound bus is bringing people from all over, possibly the world, where they are coming to this location and there are no amenities for them if their buses are late, if they are stranded, if they are waiting for a connection. And Eric Day has already said that this is a safety issue. The county administrator does not want that arrangement there. I think that if we're gonna, work peaceably together here between the county and the city, there needs to be a better solution. And it seems to me that if there is some kind of arrangement where money is changing hands, they want permission to be at a location. I think we owe it to the community and to the members who are riding this Greyhound bus to find a better solution.
Where are you getting the fact that money is exchanging hands? Money is not exchanging hands.
Because
Greyhound's not paying the city of Plattsburgh money to operate there. It's within their right. And I've said this 100 times already. It's within their right to operate on our city streets, much like DoorDash will pull up and park in a standing zone to drop off, or a taxi will pull over, pick somebody up that's hailing them, or an Uber, right? Same, no big difference. And I'll say, like, I think maybe more than anything, it's like, now, because it's on our doorstep, we're paying a little bit more attention to the use of Greyhound and the people who use Greyhound. But other than that, there's no difference in how it's been operating up at the Mountain Mart, right outside the town of Plattsburgh, how it was operating up on Route 3. You know what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden it's a problem because we're watching it. But nobody was up in arms then. And by the way, these people are just taking the bus. They're taking the bus to get to their destination. They're laying over in the city of Plattsburgh and they're getting on the next bus and going on.
So is Greyhound paying the city $1,000?
No, I said.
Okay, because
Councilor Gibbs, I've said this 100 times. No, they are not. They have offered.
they offered it. Okay.
But they are not. We have not signed a contract. They don't have to pay the city of Plattsburgh any money to operate there. It's within their rights to operate there.
If that's true, then why are they getting kicked out of other locations if it's their right?
It's not within their right to operate on private property. This is a public roadway. And again, like, we've looked at a number of trying to find programmatic agreements between the city and the county. The city and the county are working fine together on this. I mean, like, we might see a little bit differently, but we're talking about solutions. We're trying to find solutions. We're sharing information with them that we have. any public safety issues, which we've seen none, by the way, about this, about where they're operating, we're sharing that with them as well, right? So no, the city of Plattsburgh is not getting paid. We've not seen zero public safety issues there, maybe one, but that had, in fact, the biggest public safety issue we saw was when the folks spilled out of the CCPT bus fighting each other in front of City Hall. Thank you, Plattsburgh Street Team, for the entertainment. So it's curious to me why all of a sudden there's a problem. When all these folks listen, folks are just trying to get from A to B. Traveling from Montreal to New York City, Albany, wherever, right? Because we don't have an Amtrak and now they have to use this bus because that's what they can afford.
A lot of college students take the bus.
Thank you. So, I mean, look, if there's a problem, let's solve the problem. But I've yet to hear other than we get phone calls. People are mad, people are upset. We get phone calls. Well, what's the problem? What's the problem as legislators that we're trying to legislate against to solve?
Just for the record, I was only letting you know that I received the phone calls.
Yeah,
The phone calls that I received, no one actually outlined what their issues were. I actually got no explanations what their issues were. I was unable to actually answer the phone because I sound like this. These are messages.
Yeah.
No one told me what their issues were. They just said they wanted it to stop and we need to rethink why we're allowing this. For some reason, they think we have control as a council on who can do what. And we don't, because like you said, it is a city street, but people think we do. So it's not that we're, oh, we got phone calls, but they're holding us accountable.
Sure, and I understand that, and I think there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of miseducation or not education about what people can and cannot do on our roadways. If this council wants to bring forth a resolution or a local law to prevent Greyhound from operating there, then that's what you should do. But
yes, I agree 100%.
But I
The council
think-
should move forward.
Maybe-
Find some way to
with the
alleviate
actual
the
problem you're about to
situation. I'm talking.
Maybe we need to. I don't know. I'm sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
I'm just stating that it's on us to do something about this situation. It is not good. I could not last out there for 2 hours in this kind of weather. I don't think it should be forced to do so. I think we're turning our backs on the situation. We should act on that. We should make a ordinance that will alleviate this situation. It's within our powers. People are blaming us. I for one want to correct the situation. I hope the rest of the council feels the same way.
I do.
there's
I just don't know what that is.
When I was on the
I don't
county,
know.
why don't we get heated bus stops? Why don't we get heated bus stations? Why don't we do that? Fight for that.
That's
The county
purview of
the received
council.
millions of dollars to build a bus station. Millions of dollars to build a bus station through a grant. Fight for that. Fight to have them use that.
I don't understand why they're not. I have to admit, why are they
Beating down
not?
Greyhound's door for how many years to have them use that building? And now they're
That
like,
was one
we actually
comment
need
I
someplace to
got.
operate. We want to
2
change their
million.
model, make them flex to the use of that building because their model has changed. It is a collaboration. It is frustrating. And I understand it's frustrating for multiple levels, but listen, if we're not trying to solve a problem, then what are we trying to solve here? And no, not one person has come to me and said X, Y, and Z. This is the actual problem that we're facing. I get emails like, oh, we receive phone calls, people complaining. Complaining about what? What are people complaining about? What's the law that people are breaking? What are we legislating against?
We're trying to keep people from dying out there in the bad weather, and it will happen. There's just it's just a matter of
100%,
time.
I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate it. But at the end of the day, ain't nobody was arguing about when they were operating up there just the same way. We have a problem with it because it's on our doorstep. That's the only reason.
I disagree. When they were operating out of the Mountain Mart or, there was another location in the town, but I cannot recall right now. That location had
Sunoco?
amenities. It had a place to wait inside against weather. It was, and I understand it's private property, but I think that this conversation has been happening in public for weeks upon weeks. And council really would like to see a resolution. It isn't because we want it to go away and be out of the public eye. And, now it's on our doorstep and, now it's a problem. There were amenities at the locations where they were going. Right now, they're being let off and picked up on Cornelia Street, one of our busiest sections of the street. We're asking for, Dean's advice. Is there a legal resolution? Can we force them to be someplace where it will be safer for the residents? And I don't think that that is an unreasonable conversation to have.
Safer
And I
for
don't
what?
think
Sorry,
that we
safer
should
for what
have a
residents?
conversation with the anger and the elevated tone
Safer for
coming
what
from your
residents?
office, Mayor.
Safer for what residents? We're talking about people that are using the bus as transportation mechanism.
I will say the one comment I received was, why aren't they using the $2 million location that was made for them? And that's the only definitive comment that was made. But the one location that I know of that was awesome, they had one up in the plaza. Greyhound had a location up there, and they had an indoor, you could wait and etc. And it's just, why don't they have something like that? It's just, that's all I'm saying. I'm done.
I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, there's more new business. I just have to note that, congratulations to the fire department. They responded to a fire in Olivetti. We also got a letter from that owner that, just provided significant accolades for the work that they did. They went back in, they recovered some mementos for the victim, and I really just wanted to give a public acknowledgement to that department and that team for the response and for the work that they do for our community. So
I would like to too.
thank you. Motion to adjourn. Councilor Gibbs, second. Councilor Bond, all in favor?
Aye.
We're now adjourned, folks.